Eugenia and Eugene, two bright-eyed chipmunks, lived in a cozy burrow beneath the roots of a giant oak tree. Eugenia was a whirlwind of activity, a tiny dynamo with endless energy, always chattering and darting about, her little paws ablur as she explored every nook and cranny of their forest home. Eugene, on the other hand, was a thoughtful little fellow, often found observing the world around him with a quiet intensity. He'd sit still for long stretches, his nose twitching, watching the way the sunlight dappled through the leaves or the intricate path of an ant. They were the best of friends, their contrasting personalities a perfect balance, but sometimes their different ways of seeing things led to funny mix-ups and even funnier lessons. The Whispering Woods and the Great Acorn Hunt. One crisp autumn morning, a thrilling whisper spread through the forest. The Great Acorn Hunt was about to begin. This wasn't just any hunt, it was the biggest event of the year, a mad dash to gather the tastiest, plumpest acorns before winter's icy grip set in. Every chipmunk in the forest buzzed with excitement, their little tails twitching with anticipation. Eugenia, as always, was the first to react. With a joyful squeak, she immediately zipped off, a tiny, striped streak disappearing into a pile of red and gold leaves. "Last one to fill their burrow is a rotten acorn," she called over her shoulder, her voice already fading into the rustling sounds of the awakening forest. Eugene smiled. He knew Eugenia was incredibly fast, faster than almost any other chipmunk. But he also knew that speed wasn't always the only ingredient for success. He took a moment, his bright eyes scanning the familiar landscape. Where did the biggest, plumpest acorns usually fall? He noticed that the squirrels, who were absolute masters of acorn finding, spent a lot of their time around the base of the gnarled old maple tree, its branches reaching like ancient arms towards the sky. Meanwhile, Eugenia was already deep in the hunt. Her cheeks were puffing out with acorns, and she was already on her second trip back to her burrow. She darted from tree to tree, scooping up every acorn she saw, barely glancing at them. Eugene, however, was moving at a different pace. He wasn't slow, but he was deliberate. He carefully inspected each acorn before he picked it up. He'd hold it in his tiny paws, feeling its weight, turning it over to check for any tiny imperfections, and even giving it a gentle sniff. Back at her burrow, Eugenia was beaming, her little chest puffed out with pride. Her pile of acorns was indeed huge, overflowing even. "I win," she exclaimed, leaping with joy. But then, as the initial thrill of the hunt subsided, she looked closer at her mountain of nuts. Eugene arrived a little later, his cheeks bulging with fewer, but much larger and healthier, acorns. He carefully sorted them into neat piles in his burrow, each one a perfect, robust little package of winter sustenance. "How did you get such good ones, Eugene?" Eugenia asked, her voice quiet, her eyes still fixed on her own disappointing pile. Eugene explained, his voice calm and thoughtful. "Well, Eugenia, I took a moment to think about what I was doing and why." From that day on, Eugenia still zipped around the forest with her usual boundless energy, but she also took moments to pause and think. She learned to use her energy wisely, just like Eugene used his quiet observation skills. They both discovered that understanding themselves, knowing their strengths and how to improve their weaknesses, and working carefully and consistently, was the best way to have a happy and full burrow all winter long. Please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Bye!